what we wanted to get to was this 80-20 mindset where, as Troy mentioned, like right at the start, it's more about the psychology, you know, and mindset that you need to have when you're talking about crypto and investment, versus 20% of like the skills that you really need. You want to elaborate on that a little bit more, Troy?
No, you pretty much said it. Like, it's an 80-20 mindset. There's, even if you decide that you are what we call in the crypto community a hodler, which is just holding coins, to be a successful hodler or holder of coins, you need to have this mindset. You need to have this mindset if you want to be a trader and keep making money and earn more crypto. You need to have this mindset no matter what. And you find that this mindset applies to a lot of different things in wealth management. 80% psychology is literally that you need, if this is what you choose to do, is to hold them for 5 years, then you need to not have weak hands, right? When if you buy Bitcoin at $18,000 and next week it goes down to 12,000, right? You need to walk away from that computer and put your Trezor or your ledger that it's stored on and put it back in the cupboard, and don't sell those Bitcoin, because your vision is to hold it for 5 years, or your vision is to hold it for 1 year or 2 years or whatever it may be. And that's a really simple way of putting it. But you really need to train your mind to do this. And we've all done it and made those mistakes where we bought Bitcoin. I'm using really basic words here, but we bought it for 8,000 back when it was 8,000, and it dropped to 6, and we're panicked and we've sold it. But then the next week it's gone back up, because I've got to keep remembering the overall trend is in an upward trend. So that's pretty much what we're focusing on, but we're definitely going to touch on more of that later. But mindset is so key in this space.
Yeah, exactly. So how can I profit from crypto? Or how can you guys profit from crypto? There are a ton of different ways, and I'll try to go through them all, hopefully without melting anyone's brain. So I did put a couple of, you know, stupid memes in there just so that it'd break up the monotony of what's going to go through now. So buying and hodling or holding, as we mentioned, it's investing in crypto and just holding it for long term. So, you know, what most people think, similar to long-term investments or stocks and shares, whatever, is like, I'll just put money in and then, you know, let it ride. Whereas what the journey is more like is that you have to, you know, go with these ebbs and flows and kind of ignore what's going on. And just, you can see in that picture that even though things are going up and down, it's still on that upward trajectory. And if you can hold on for long enough, if this is one of your strategies, then, you know, it'll pay off in the end. Just think back to that, whoever that guy was, Laszlo, whatever, who bought the pizza. You would not want to be in his position of regret, right? Like, you know, over a pizza. So yeah, if you're thinking of just buying Bitcoin and then sitting on it, be prepared to you know, ride the wave.
And this is no different, guys. If you applied this to stocks or anything else, they all go in ebbs and flows.
Yeah, so that's the easiest thing, right? Just buy it and wait. Another way you can profit from it is through lending or borrowing. And this is a little bit complicated, but not really. Basically what we said before about how the power has now shifted in that, you know, before you used to have to rely on banks. Now crypto has allowed people to basically be their own bank. So you can jump on these platforms, like there's three there that are in the bottom corner there, Nexo, Crypto.com, and BlockFi. And you can actually, if you're a borrower, you could go, okay, I'm giving some collateral to them, and then be able to borrow funds from them, whether it's a credit line or get more crypto or cash. And obviously you pay interest on that. You have to pay it back to the company. But while you're doing that, like you're basically putting crypto somewhere that it will also potentially rise in value, right? So borrowing from them, if you're borrowing to buy more crypto, then you could essentially increase your bags. I'm not suggesting that you do that, but it's possible to do that kind of thing if you were trying to, you know, make profit. And then there's the other side where, because it's peer-to-peer, you can also lend crypto to people, lend it to an exchange, and you get paid for doing so. You get interest in that.
So I'm going to try and explain. That's a really good way that Kevin explained it, but I'll try and explain it in simple terms. Like, I'm a very simple person, so this is what we're talking about: how you can become your own bank. Okay, this is a prime example of how you can become your own bank. If you go to the bank and you want to borrow X amount of money, they give you a loan. So they give you a loan, and then you pay to the bank, you know, X percentage or whatever it is. So the bank, you pay to the bank, an interest rate, right? So this is similar, like you're the bank. So you are literally lending some money to an exchange or whatever it may be, and you're the bank. So that exchange is going to pay you a percentage rate for lending them some crypto, right? So that's essentially what it is. This all sounds very complicated, but it's done in a way that is very simple through apps and things like that, where it's literally just like transfer X amount of Bitcoin to this app and hold it on that app, and then they will, you know, lend it out and use it as, you know, whatever they need to use it for, and you'll get paid a percentage for holding it through their app. And so with everything like this, there's always risks and things like that involved, and you know, we won't go down the rabbit hole of that just yet, but this is a prime example of how you can become your own bank.
Yeah, so you can be both a borrower and a lender, basically. Like, instead of it being a banking institution or whatever, you can play both sides of the coin, so to speak, by, you know, borrowing funds for whatever it is you need to purchase in the real world, or if you want to get more crypto. And at the same time, you can also lend that crypto out to other people and get paid interest, which is, yeah, exactly doing what the banks are doing to us now anyway. You know, there's, like, you can start off with little micro loans, but then work your way up to, you know, being able to borrow and lend more.
Does I know this all is very, it's probably seeming crazy, but does that somewhat make sense to people? Yeah, in a way. So just think of it like you're a bank that's lending, you know, you're holding it on this website so they can use it, and you're going to get paid a percentage for holding it there. So yeah, so I hope that makes sense. And it's once again, you know, we could probably spend 8 hours on this topic alone. But there's more information about this on Kevin's website, so then you can click and find out information about the different ones.
Yeah, you basically get paid for providing what's called liquidity, right?
Exactly.
The platform needs to give money out to people, and then you provide that money for them to do so. So you can profit from that. Another way is by locking or staking coins. So it's a similar kind of process. Whoops, I'll go back. So locking or staking your coins, the easiest way I can explain it is like having a term deposit at a bank, right? You go, okay, I'm going to go for a 6-month term deposit, which means I'm going to put my $1,000 in, and after those 6 months, I'm going to get a certain rate of interest back. And it's the same thing on these platforms or these exchanges. You can buy coins and then lock or stake them for a certain period, and the locked coins are used for transactions or for providing liquidity. And then obviously the more coins you lock, the higher your potential staking profits are. So to elaborate on that a little bit more, so this is done on this platform is on Binance, but it can be done in other places as well. And you can see there that they have these, you know, estimated annual yield. So if you were to put $100, say in this one, ARC staking, then, you know, you could get back 1 to 3% estimated for the year for holding it with them. You can choose to hold it with them for a week, for a month, for 6 months, whatever it is. But these estimations change all the time depending on how much money is coming in and out. But for the most part, it's usually better than, you know, your 0.1% that you get in a high interest savings account with a bank or something. And these are paid out either in the token that you stake with, or sometimes some platforms pay out in US dollars as well, or whatever your fiat currency is. So a better way to sort of explain that. So with Bitcoin, we mentioned before that there's mining, right? So the mining capacity or the speed of mining also depends on how many transactions are processed. I think it was, I can't remember who asked that earlier. And then, you know, it's almost like a lottery, right? I think mining's maybe not the right analogy for it, but it's kind of a lottery between all these computers. They're racing to process these transactions for Bitcoin. And when they process the transactions, then they win the reward, which is Bitcoin. Whereas with a proof of stake model, the system or the platform basically just needs to show that there's coins there, right? Coins that are being held as collateral. And so the processing of the transactions doesn't need to be done manually by these computers, I guess. It's just the fact that there's proof that there's coins being staked on their platform is enough collateral to show that, you know, it's a safe platform, I guess, to exchange or to borrow and lend from. Does that make sense? Like what a proof of stake?
Well, it's it's really difficult. And once again, guys, we wanted to show you guys this, but it's really difficult to kind of put it in a 3 to 4 hour you know, video. So probably the best way we can explain staking and this kind of thing is like, for example, like what Kev had on the previous slide, that was a website called Binance. And you guys will remember that Binance was one of the most trusted exchanges that we spoke about earlier. To get started and dip your feet in staking and understanding it, it's probably best that you do it with in a simple way with a website like Binance, which there are step-by-step guides through to do. And then that way, once you understand that side, you can start being a little bit more fancy in the way that you want to earn more crypto after that point. But yeah, that's probably the best way. But obviously, this is going to be recorded. We could probably say it 10 times right now, and maybe the 9th or 10th time, it'll just be like, okay, cool. But it's probably best off for the sake of time that you do watch the recording back on this part to get a better understanding of it. Take a screenshot of that, obviously pause it on the recording so you can kind of get a better understanding of it. And obviously, if it still doesn't make sense, then reach out to Kevin and myself, and we'll be happy to kind of clarify it for you when you do get to that point. But just know that this is a credible and a definite way that people earn and make money in crypto.
It's kind of like saying if Troy was, you know, lending money out to all 9 of you, and you know, if Troy was lending money out to all of you and I was giving him, say, $1,000, right, to provide that liquidity, he might be paying me an interest fee on that because he's lending out the money to you, but I'm earning a interest fee or transaction fees while he's lending that out to you, and you're paying interest to him. And then at some point I'll go, hey, you know, I want to collect my money. I want to unstake it from you now. So give me back my crypto and whatever interest and fees are involved in that. And yeah. I've made profit.
Yeah. You know, there's super rich people in the States. Like I know Bill Gates, I think it was a big thing about it 10 or 15 years ago, loaned some money to the US government. I can't remember what it was or what the situation was, but that's kind of what it was, right? Is that, and the US government then paid him back a percentage increase based on the loan, right? So it's, you know, it's similar to that.
I'll move on from this one, but yeah.
Yeah.
Another way you can profit is obviously investing. So some of you may have heard of IPOs, which is, you know, investing in a public company, like when, you know, Amazon goes public or Facebook or whatever, you can buy shares and, you know, that's like an initial public offering. You can buy stocks, and then the crypto version or digital version is an ICO, so it's an initial coin offering, and these were huge back in 2016, 2017, where people basically got the chance to invest in startups without having to go through the hurdles of being an accredited investor. So I think was it back in the 70s that whatever the US, world police, they created this law that, you had to be an accredited investor. You had to have minimum $50,000 to invest in a company and jump through hoops and whatnot. It was basically like putting a barrier between like, this is, the big boys table, make the rich richer.
Yeah.
And if you don't have enough money to sit at the table, then you're out of the game. And they just wrapped that up in, legal jargon. And what the cryptocurrency space did was open that up to, your regular sort of people. You could just go, oh, this company has potential. I'm just going to put $5 in, or I'm going to put $1,000 in, or I'm going to put whatever amount in. And hope it, goes to the moon or skyrockets 10x or 100x or whatever. So during that period, a lot of companies were doing like 4,000, 40,000% gains. And like, it was ridiculous, millionaires were made overnight, but the majority of people also lost a ton of money, myself included. And I'm sure Troy's backed a couple of lemons as well, because it was like the wild, wild west, right? You could, anyone could have an idea to be like, oh, I'm going to create this thing and we're going to launch a rocket into space and whatever. Come and back me. It's crypto based. And so people were just jumping in going, yeah, cool. I tried to do the same thing with this. Like, we were just preparing to do an ICO. We created our own coin. We sold a bit of it. We were preparing to do a fundraising round. And before the launch of that even happening, like, money was already coming in, and we built the place. And it was like, just ridiculous that people could do that. So, yeah, an ICO, then they're not as popular now, but they're still around. And, because we're talking about how you can profit from crypto, you can profit from that, but you just got to be really careful. There are websites that you can review on, like, watching what companies are potentially, the next Amazon or the next Facebook or the next whatever in the
so essentially it's like buying a coin or a project before it booms. So exactly like what Kev said, right? It's the people who bought Apple stocks before they went through the roof. It was people who bought Amazon stocks before he took over the world, before Jeff Bezos took over the world. And now they're worth 1 million times more. The people who bought Tesla stocks, Uber stocks, like all these things that are now massive products, but 10 years ago, probably not so much. And that's what this is about, and you could even wrap that right back to, Ethereum. Remember how we talked about Ethereum earlier? Ethereum had an ICO where people could put in money because they believed in the Ethereum project, and they could buy an Ethereum coin. It was like I think it was like 10 cents each or something, right? They're now worth $600. So that's the kind of thing that we're talking about, and the kind of massive percentage gains where people were making, that if there's a project and something that's good that may come out, people invest in it. And that's, once again, what's great about being part of a community and have a better understanding, because there's sometimes projects that I've jumped in that have made these massive gains, and there's other projects I've jumped in where I might have put $1,000 in and it's now worth 20 cents, right? So it's one of those things where there are big gains and big losses, but it's that risk to reward ratio. And if you're part of a smart community, you can profit a lot more than not profiting.
Exactly. Yeah. The other component to that came out after this whole ICO boom was the STO, which is a security token offering. So companies that were deemed by the SEC, so the Securities Exchange Commission, is it, of the US,
World Police,
again, World Police, America. They were like, oh, well, if you're offering, what could potentially be seen as a security, then we're going to regulate it. So you now have to issue this other token that, is a different classification, blah, 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 jargon. It was just another way for, people to be protected, but at the same time also for the regulators to, you know, make money out of it, I guess. So that's another way to profit, you know, in the crypto space. And those two situations combine to basically produce what's now kind of around, which is the IEO, which is an initial exchange offering. And basically what's happened is, because it was like, you know, cowboys and Indians, wild, wild west kind of vibe in 2017, these exchanges such as Binance and other reputable exchanges have now gone, okay, instead of, you know, your little startup doing a fundraising exercise and then dying, we're going to back you guys, and we're going to do the marketing for you. And, you know, if we're using our brand value to say, hey, we're going to list you on our exchange, then that's kind of providing a level of security for whoever the investor is. Obviously, the exchange would get a significant cut of, you know, whatever company is listing on their exchange. But for the consumer, it provides that level of security that, like, hey, if a company is going to be sold or listed on Binance, then they must have done their checks and balances to make sure that the company is legit and not just some backyard operation.
Yeah, so it gives more justification to a coin that may be starting out, or a project that's starting out. And this is exactly Facebook and Amazon and Apple and all these major stocks in the world right now started exactly this way, as a business in a garage somewhere, right? That's how they started. And the people who bought at that time and are still holding it now are multi-millionaires, right? Because they held and they believed in that project till it got to this point. Well, they may have sold some along the way and taken profits. It's no different in the crypto space, that there's projects that you can buy in that you might read up and go, wow, that's a really great concept. I can see that Binance is backing them. I can see that, you know, they've got some, I don't know, I'm just going to throw out a name. They've got, you know, Jeff Bezos, who said that this is a really key thing and part of the future. So if the Amazon CEO has said that this coin is awesome, then I believe in this coin as well, because I bought Amazon stocks and I know how great they are. So then it's like, okay, cool. So you can buy something that's when it's little and then watch it grow and profit from it over time.
It's like Kickstarter or Indiegogo. If anyone's ever, you know, looked on those platforms or bought anything from them, I liken it to that. Like it's a startup kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know, could go right, could go wrong, but at least it's on a platform that's reputable. Versus, say, so if IEO is like a Kickstarter or a Kickstarter or Indiegogo campaign, ICOs were more like the GoFundMe campaign. I guess it's like anyone could create a fundraising, you know, event, and then it could be legit or it could be a total rort. So yeah, that's the difference between those. And then the next one, and this is like, again, diving into the rabbit hole, but it's worth mentioning because I don't know what people's experiences are out there, you know, in terms of being creative or it's mostly taking off in the arts world. Non-fungible tokens are basically tokens that you can't copy, right? We mentioned that before with Bitcoin. You can basically create an asset that cannot be replicated. So there was a thing that if you guys Google crypto kitties, someone came up with this idea, like similar to, you know, Tamagotchi or Pokemon, to create like these kitties that would evolve with basically the more crypto people would put in, I guess, and they had different DNA strands, and you'd have kittens that were, you know, purple or striped or polka dotted or whatever, and people could collect them and buy them with crypto. And then it got to a point where, similar to like, you know, Pokemon or Beanie Babies or whatever, like people were paying thousands. I think there was one crypto kitty that was like $250,000 because it was so rare to get.
Yeah, it's similar. If you look at it in the old world, similar to Pokemon cards, right? I don't know how many people
pretty much. And so that's kind of taken off as well. Like Decentraland, that's another one where there's this platform that's created a virtual version of, I think at the moment they've only got San Francisco and a couple of other places, but you can buy plots of land in the virtual space with, you know, virtual money, but you're actually using real money to buy the crypto to buy that. And then you've also got in games, like certain games now allowing people to buy certain items and sell them on an open market. So say like, I don't know if anyone plays video games, but you know, say there's like a Dungeons and Dragons type game or Minecraft type game or whatever, where you've got to mine, you know, you've got to dig through a cave and defeat the dragon to get the diamond sword of magic or whatever, and it takes, you know, 10 days to do that. Someone might go, well, I've spent the 10 days to do that. I'm going to sell it to another guy who's playing the game who doesn't want to wait 10 days to get this particular sword and is willing to pay me $50 for it, you know, in cryptocurrency. And then, so that's also taken off where, you know, people are basically exchanging time for money, but in a digital sense, and making money off it.
Yeah. So we probably won't go too much more into this, but this is definitely something that is happening.
Yeah, if anyone there is you know, an artist or creative, you could look into that as well. Another way, and this is the last part for this section, is you can actually simply profit from crypto by getting paid in Bitcoin. So there's a website, the left one is in Australia, so you can literally type in getpaidinbitcoin.com. And for anyone who's employed, you fill out a form, and it's all done with a, you know, ATO and whatever payroll companies, and you basically fill out a form and just take it to your employer and go, hey, I want to get, you know, 20% of my wage paid in Bitcoin, and they can help facilitate that. Internationally, there's also BitPay and BitWage, which I think BitWage you'll be able to use in Canada. Again, it's the same process. You take it to your employer and just go, hey, I want a portion of my salary to be paid in whatever crypto you choose, and they do it. BitPay is unique though in that you can use it for your business as well. So if you like, say, Cherie, I know with the health stuff that you, it's all right, you can go, but like with the, you know, massage stuff that you do, or the health-based stuff, you could say, instead of like, say you charge, you know, $150 for a massage, but you go, okay, if anyone wants to pay me in crypto, I'll give a 10% discount. You can use a platform like BitPay to you know, receive Bitcoin, and it'll convert it to, you know, fiat currency for the person to pay in, but pay you out in crypto. So
for those who don't know, fiat currency, we haven't quite touched on that, but fiat currency is paper money. So just money. So they're kind of buy and holding strategies, right? So that's like, you know, and if you didn't want to do any of those fancy things about staking and all those other things, you could simply just buy a Bitcoin, Ethereum, whatever it is, a percentage of it, and just hold it. Simply put it in your Trezor and just hold it, right? You don't have to be as fancy as all these other things, but they are ways to get earn even more crypto over time.